Welcome back, everybody. Let me take this off. Old habits die hard, right? The next session we have is EDIH's Forging European Collaboration. And for this, I would like to introduce Moritz Butter, who is Senior Researcher in the field of Industrial Innovation Policy, and is presently the Scientific Coordinator of the EDIH Net project. So, Moritz, over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here in Luxembourg. It's great to be here in a physical environment, although it's a virtual location also for you, of course. And I must say that with almost 2,000 people, 1,500, 2,000 people looking at us, I now understand a little bit more the anxiety Adele always has when she enters the stage. And I'm not comparing myself with Adele, of course, but the anxiety is, of course, a little bit there. But it is a virtual environment, so it's much easier for me to talk. I did shave this morning, so that's fine. So, Jérôme, could you open up the slides? Yes. So, before entering this session, I would like to also introduce the house rules. So please use the chat for the technical questions and use the Q&As for the questions to the speakers. You can also even vote for that, as Anne-Marie also said, and that will allow us to have a more interactive discussion, although it's virtual, with you, the audience. That's of course important. We will have a kind of a panel discussion also later on, so yes, can you click? I think it is important for this session to inspire you to forge the European collaborations. I'm sure that all the EDIs are very much looking at the local element of the EDIs, but of course the EDIs are much more than the local situation. You want to create the European collaborations, you forge the European collaborations. We've got a nice set of panelists, also welcome you. I'm missing Maite at this moment, I think. Can you click again? So very quickly, the overview of the session that we have been preparing for you. I will give a short presentation about the forging, a short introduction. Then Maite should be looking at the view from the regions towards the forging. Then Giovanna Galasso from PwC will talk a little bit more about the business models. Pierre Damien, who is organizing a candidate EDI from the Grenoble region, will talk about the real needs for European collaborations on the EDIs. And Andreas Ocklenburg is an SME, and he can share with you the view on the more industrial SME side. And we hope to have the panel discussion to allow you to also ask questions that they can answer. Can you click? So the short introduction. Can you click again? What is the EDIs about? So you all heard that we are going towards a network of up to 200 EDIs in Europe. But that's not all. Can you click again? It is about creating the fabric of the European collaboration. So it's not about the individual EDIs, it is about creating that collaboration. And this is what this session is about. Can you click again? So what we think is important is the collaboration organized in a structural way, and we call them corridors. So one EDI can collaborate with another EDI. That we see that as a very important issue to address, especially when you want to forge those collaborations in a structural way and not only looking at it from an ad hoc, one company working with an EDI on a non-regular basis. So this is a very important thing to address in the EDIs and the whole EDI strategy, and I would like to go a little bit further into it. Can you click again? So what is that corridor? We can all see that if you look at the European digital innovation hubs, that they're regionally local oriented. They've got a large ecosystem surrounding them with industry, with governments sometimes, with competence centers, digital innovation hubs. And the EDIs are there, can you click again? To create the connection with other regions also. So although they have the local function to strengthen their region, they also need to connect to other regions and other EDIs in other regions. Can you click again? And that's what we call the corridor. Can you click again? It is about establishing those collaborations with each other, with those up to 200 EDIs in Europe. Yes. So why would you engage with that European collaboration? We think there are some very important benefits to create those collaborations. And the first one is, of course, you can have, if you have strong connections to other regions and other EDIs and other digital innovation hubs and competence centers through that fabric, you can have access to leading edge technologies. Those technologies are state-of-the-art, and because we are not dealing with that in every region and trying to address all the technologies needed in one region, but we can use each other's technologies that will add towards your capacities and capabilities to your region at lower cost. Then there are some business opportunities that you can also address. We also very often hear that the EDIs can allow opening up markets for for SMEs in other regions. And then, of course, it's the exchange of experience. If one EDI is engaged with another EDI, exchanging how they do their work, how they make it operational, and they can share their good practices among each other, that can enhance the collaboration itself and the way you are operating your EDI. Then synergies and looking at the complementarities about technologies and knowledge. This is about joining forces for new technologies and trying to not do it all yourself, but to combine the activities. And that also directly links to the pan-European value chains. This is the collaboration between the different SMEs. If you create collaboration and if you as an EDI can help your SMEs to connect to other SMEs to strengthen the value chains on a European level, that's beneficial for the European industry. And then last, but I would say not least, it's also to increase the impact of European funding. If you can avoid the duplication of each other's investments, so you enter into a European alignment of investments, then you can be stronger as Europe. And that's what it's all about, of course. It's addressing the need to have a European leadership for industry. Yes. So I was talking about the EU and local approach there. What you see is that the basic element and the basic function of an EDI is about creating the local support, helping your SMEs. That's an important thing to do. But it is also about creating that European function. And that's about creating the gateway to Europe. And that's what the forging of European collaboration is about. If you can click again, this is where the corridors come into place. So, can we click? We see this organization of that network in two layers. The first layer is the layer of the EDIs collaborating with each other, trying to set up those corridors. But then there's also the DGA, and that's going to be discussed tomorrow, of course, which are enabling, trying to create a kind of a foundation of the collaborations and helping them through economy of scales to better make use of each other's capacities and capabilities. So that's going to be discussed tomorrow. But here it's about establishing those European corridors and forging those collaborations. Can you click again? And what we see is that the main challenge for that is to get from ad hoc collaborations, where a collaboration is established one time only, to structural collaborations. And it's hard. It's very complex, because it's about identifying priority activities. What is important to share with each other, how to collaborate. And you can see that if you engage in those collaborations, the benefits of your investments will not fall always back to you. And that's a challenge to how to address that. And to be honest, if you look at European funding, if it's always only done by European funding or national funding, what's the actual added value for the industry? Are they valuing it enough? So it's also about capturing the value through investments from the industry. And that's about developing sound business models. And yes, we need to use the strategy of the EDIH strategy right now to set up those collaborations. They cost time. You need to develop trust. And that's where we need to get all the stakeholders actively involved. And I'm happy that, can you click again? I'm happy that you are able to listen to some of the experts that we have today, because let me very quickly introduce Maite Carrecedo. She works for Funding Box. She's a partner in the business and development. We know each other for quite some time already. She's been engaged in the IFRMS and all kinds of other European projects. But what is important here is that she knows about how regions are in that game of establishing those corridors. So very quickly, Maite, could you introduce yourself, your view on how those corridors can be established, looking at the view of the regions?
Yes, sure. Good morning, everyone. Can you confirm you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. So yes, today I'm here representing the view of the regions, not because I'm working in one regional authority, but because of my background working with them at local level in several initiatives like a smart specialization strategy or working on innovation policies, but also because I've been in touch with them through the European programs and activities I'm developing right now. So I would like to talk today about the key role they can play in this need that you were mentioning, Maurits, of building this European collaboration among EDIHs. And indeed, I think their role is quite relevant, especially in those territories where this is happening in a natural way, right? Because the cross-border cooperation and the openness are not as systemic as innovation leading regions. So if you can put my slides, I will start presenting one of my experience working with regions. Next slide, please. This is the case of I4MS. For those of you who don't know this initiative, I4MS stands for ICT for Manufacturing SMEs, and is the key initiative of the European Commission supporting the digital transformation of manufacturing SMEs. In I4MS, we have developed very interesting digital solutions that are available through companies all around Europe for companies through marketplaces. And here we were following this approach at Funding Box of connecting the European solutions with the local ecosystems through regions. What we offered them was the possibility for their companies to have access to these digital solutions in different verticals and technology areas like robotics or HPC. Okay, through these marketplaces, where we were asking those regions to finance some experiments at local level. And after several discussions, meetings, and testings, I must say that maybe the result was not as good as we expected. And some of the reasons I'm going to share with you. For them, one of the problems was that they did not know if those solutions were needed in the region. On the other hand, if they were missing those solutions, they were afraid that maybe competence centers at local level were not going to be very happy if the region was going to finance foreign policy. And even for those regions that embraced the approach and wanted to use those foreign technologies, they did not even know how to finance the collaboration with those foreign providers, how to cope with this regulatory constraint. And this experience to me was very valid and to reflect on what we are facing now. And if we go to the next slide, I will mention the opportunity that this Digital Europe is representing to us. We think that for the regional authorities, the European EDIH are going to be the most important instrument to foster competitiveness in their regions at this moment. And also, as you were mentioning, Maurits, there's a need for us to establish some corridors among the regions. So if we look at Digital Europe program, at the EDIHs, and the need for these corridors, the regions can play an instrumental role here. But to my understanding, what they need to do to be relevant is to choose. Those regions need to bet on what are the things they want to export, where they are excellent at, which type of technologies are they mastering in the region, but which technologies are not present at the right level of excellence. We cannot cover all. Technology and innovation are becoming too complex for a single region to cover all. So this approach requires a smarter way for specialization. And here, we should maybe not repeat some of the mistakes that were happening during the first attempt to implement smart specialization strategies in Europe, where in some cases, the result was a little bit of a coffee for all, right? Now we have the opportunity to do things in a proper way, using these EDIHs as a very operational structure that can really push our ecosystem. And this is why when you were asking us, Maurits, to include maybe a provocative sentence in our introduction, I was using this one. The regions need to make choices and need to put focus on specialization. It is also true, and if we go to the next slide, please, the regions are facing some challenges if they want to follow this approach of specialization and focus. Next slide, please, on the challenges. Yeah. One of them is about the regulatory, right? Normally, when we talk to the regions, they say that those regulations are very rigid, and the current instruments they have for promoting innovation cannot support this type of collaborations. And I know this is challenging. But blueprints are there for those braves that really want to innovate and go ahead with this. And I can give you some examples of other stories in Europe. This is, for instance, the case of Denmark, who was betting on a DIH model before even the DIH concept was there. And this is the case of May, the manufacturing academy in Denmark. Also, Poland was learning from the cascade funding approach. They found that this mechanism was very useful to be agile and precise in supporting SMEs, and they were using a structural fund for applying the mechanism at national level. Also, ages ago, the Netherlands developed the innovation voucher mechanism, and now many regions in Europe are making use of this. So if we want, we can go ahead. Of course, this requires regional laws, processes, and so on. This is challenging, and it means that the innovation policy makers may have to deal many times with tough discussions with non-innovative policymakers or with civil servants that are far from innovation. But this is needed to change dynamics. So the fact that we were not doing something before does not mean that it cannot be done. This is what innovation is all about. And I would like also to mention that they need support, of course, these regions from the member states and the European Commission. And this is one of the challenges they are facing. Maybe there should be more coordination with the European Commission on this strategy for European EDIH. But there is also need for a more trust atmosphere, right? If we want for a given SMEs, let's call it X, that will work with an EDIH for another region. Why? Under the prescription of an EDIH called SIT. We need the proper scheme in place. So to allow the type of trust, they need to do business for the first time with someone they don't know. So we need a proper pan-European framework of trust. This is challenging, but digital technologies and the proper governance model can play a role here. We need collaboration infrastructures and we need common protocols. And to finalize with my approach to the role of the regions, I would like to go to next slide and mention my conclusions here. Next slide, please. Yeah. So one of them is that, of course, you might tell me, not all the regions are the same, right? And not all the regions are in the same innovation moment or maturity. But to me, this approach is applicable to any region in Europe, because this is about the willingness to innovate. Also, maybe I would like to reflect on the importance of building on capacity building on the regional authorities and staff. I think we are missing a more entrepreneurial approach on their staff, acting more as a service providers on what they have to offer. And when we are giving trainings to DIHs, and I'm working on this with Maurits, he's always mentioning about the role of a champion, right? The champion is that person that is at the front of the DIH, yes, and is able to have the proper vision and the capacity to influence others. I think that I'm also missing this role sometimes in some of the regions if we want to make this approach happen.
Thank you, Maite. This is great. It is about showing the vision and showing the view of the regions and how they can also help the SMEs, but also to create those champions is very important to me. I would very quickly like to introduce Giovanna, because we're running a little bit out of time and I would like to have some time left for the discussion itself. So Giovanna, can you open the presentation of Giovanna, Giraud? Giovanna works for PwC. She's been involved in digitization and digital innovation hubs for quite some time already. And we know each other quite well, and I'm very much looking forward to your presentation, Giovanna.
Good morning to you all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can I have the presentation? Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay. So I will focus on major challenges for a structured EU collaboration, because as introduced by Moritz and Maite, cross-border collaboration is key to develop and upgrade EDIH services offerings and in-house skills, or to create growth opportunity for the ecosystem. My point of view is that a strategic approach to the EU collaboration is needed since the EDIH setup phase. So just now start already working to your strategic plan for EU collaboration. But on the other hand, collaboration can have challenges because cross-border collaboration requires an investment from the DIH in terms of time and resources. You need to establish and maintain a relationship with the potential partners, identify resources in charge of the collaboration activity, manage collaboration. Second, strong knowledge of the ecosystem is critical to identify win-win collaboration opportunity that really can provide added value and benefit to all the actors involved. Third point is that full awareness of the competencies and skills of the other DIHs is fundamental. Otherwise, you cannot really start a collaboration. Another important aspect to be considered is connected to the risk that may arise from collaborating. Partners' reluctance to share strategic or sensitive assets, direct contract with the clients, IPRs. The partners does not provide a valuable contribution, or there is also case where the market are different in the local market are different in Europe, and the client or the ecosystem could not give the right value to the service developed in a collaborative way. Next slide, please. How to address these challenges and risk. My lessons learned is that you need to start in a structured way, and you need to start from need to have a customer-centric approach to your collaboration. You need to start from the user perspective. Identify typical customer of the EDIHs, SMEs, startups, local public administration. Create their journey when dealing with the digital innovation hub, from the first approach to the service delivery, and assess the value of cooperation in each stage of the journey. You don't need to cooperate on everything. You need to assess what are your cooperation needs. First, try to cooperate at the regional, at the national, and then go European. Second point is to work in a structured way to cooperation scenarios. In our we are in the EDIH network project, for example, we identified three main types of scenarios which is the development of a new service, the joint provision of service, and matchmaking. These are three main cooperation scenario schemes. The most important thing is that in every scenario you identify cost, benefit, and risk for every EDIHs, for every actors in the cooperation scenarios, because all the needs of everyone and the benefit needs to be well aligned. And third, another aspect very important is to set up a long-term agreement. The Digital Europe program in this will help, but having high-level framework agreement, overarching agreement, helps the cooperation among the partners. And then you can then sign ad hoc agreements which help you in a more agile procedure, building trust, lowering risk, but most of all regulating legal issues. Next slide, please. My main conclusion from the experience is that there are also enablers. It's important to have an update EDIH service catalog and skills map. It's up to the Commission, of course, to have a taxonomy and also to set up this catalog, but it's up to the hub really to provide information and very quickly update it about the service they provide. Second, also Maite said we need to build up trust, but the trust is also based on personal relationship. You need to take advantage of available networking opportunities. This is obvious for the hubs that are already part of the community, but it's fundamental for the newcomers. So please join when will be available any face-to-face meeting, but also show up during the online meeting your outcomes. And finally, sustainability. It's fundamental to ensure a balanced funding mix, diversifying and expanding business model to improve the overall EDIH financial sustainability. Starting from now, be sure to take the advantage of a good mix of public funding. Yes, you have the debt, but you have also the Horizon Europe, the Interreg, all the opportunities identified from the national fund, the regional funding. There are interesting cases. I'm sure there is only one. There is the case of the Basque Country that will be show up of use of regional funding for cross-border collaboration, but also the RFF next funding. But then also needs to be the funding model needs to be mixed, and we need also to look for new revenue stream. The collaboration to be sustainable shall also ensure mutual benefit for all actors involved in the long term, both direct and economic benefit, and also indirect benefits such as reputational benefits.
Thank you, Giovanna. I think it's very important what you mention here. What you say is that don't talk about only the DEP and only the funding for the European Digital Innovation Hubs that you receive from the Commission now, but already start exploring those values that you can create with the collaboration between the different EDIs and how to understand how they can be funded further. I think those business models discussions are very crucial. let me give you very quickly the floor to Pierre Damien. Pierre Damien is, Berger is working as one of the manager. He's the manager of MinaLogic, and he has set up, of course, a proposal for an EDIH, and he can share with you the insights of how you can actually make it happen, that European collaboration. What activities can be done? So Pierre Damien, please.
Okay, thanks, Maurice. Happy to be with you today. And a special thanks for the introduction made by Francesca, because we are working already with STARTS, the project STARTS, and there's many opportunities to work with culture, arts, and technology. First of all, as you mentioned, please, can you show the slide? The major collaboration that we can foresee is to be guided, I would say, in the European corridors. We are a group mixing technological cluster, digital cluster, and application domain cluster. And believe me, all the people who are working in a cluster, specifically in the digital and in the application ones, are willing to have, I would say, pragmatic answers. Okay, the companies that we are working with are expecting from us a real solution, pragmatic solutions, efficiency in the collaboration, and of course create value for their business, I would say. So the major challenge that we face are to make the right links, I would say, between, I would say, partners, which could be labs or companies, technological providers, for example, to solve, I would say, the challenge and the question that we do have from the application domain companies. So the okay, this is the next slide, because here that was the introduction, and of course the most important is, of course, we are looking for some funds from Europe, but our duty is to have, I would say, the feedback, and the feedback is to be excellent. And we do have the RTO with us. We do have in Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes region the CEA and the INRIA, which are the official partners of MinaSmart. And then on this collaboration, on the challenge, of course, all the service that we provide at the regional ecosystem, we want to get the benefit of the EDIH network to enlarge, I would say, all the services at the European level. And of course, if we enlarge, I would say, the different solutions or the different partners, we of course enlarge, I would say, the quality of the solutions that we are looking for the specific request. Next slide, please. And those two columns, I would say, are two examples of the services that we address. The first one, and we launch, I would say, the MinaLogic business meeting for many years now, more than 5 years, and we do that at the regional level. The second step is the MinaLogic business meeting with a specific network. And we belong for many years to the Silicon Europe Alliance. And I have to say hello to everybody belonging to this alliance today. We had last year, for example, the MinaLogic business meeting that we organized with them. So compare, I would say, to a regional ecosystem. So the MinaLogic business meeting is a business fair, okay, where we mixed, I would say, peoples, and we qualify, I would say, the collaboration, the discussion, and so on. And here with the Silicon Europe Alliance, we did the same things that we do at the regional level, but at the European level, thanks to this network. And the goal to improve, I would say, this process or these opportunities is to make it not at the MinaLogic perimeter, I would say, but at the MinaSmart level. And we do believe that there's a lot of opportunities to make between all the partners of MinaSmart and all the rest of Europe. So this is why we propose, I would say, to set this service at the European level. The second example that you can see is the Open Innovation Day. This is based on a request coming from a large group, and we, I would say, launch a process to get all the answer from SMEs to provide an answer to this large group. And based on this, we create, I would say, a network between companies, which are really important for, I would say, the economy in itself, to make business and to provide real solutions to this type of request. And in the same way as we did with Silicon Europe Alliance, to enlarge, I would say, the community that we gather, I would say, is that we work with a European project which is called DigiFed, and we work with them because we are partner of DigiFed, and we propose this type of collaboration known by the name of Digital Challenge. And what we propose, what we foresee with the EDIH is that we can enlarge once again the opportunities of the different solutions to solve this type of problem, and to, I would say, first of all, enlarge the possibility to answer to the group to the large group based in Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes, but we also foresee the possibility to share, I would say, the practice and to set, I would say, new collaboration with the IDs. Okay, so my conclusion, and the next slides, please, is to, of course, enlarge all the opportunities that we do have with the service that we provide, but also to bring the best practices into the European basket. We are currently working, and this is things that we are already doing, and we foresee more than things, more subject, but we are working on the flexible electronics. The logo is disappeared, but the project is called Smarties. We work with a CPS, cyber physical system partners within the program DigiFed, supported by the Commission, of course. And we do have a lot of collaboration at, I would say, at the digital level with the Silicon Europe Alliance. And of course, what the networks will provide is, of course, the framework to work together and to enlarge the opportunity. So thanks for all this work that which has been done within DNet and which has to be followed, I would say, within the new organization and the new network to guide us, I would say, amongst these European corridors.
Thank you, Pierre-Damien. Yeah, I think it's wonderful what you're bringing to the floor because it has some concrete examples. And what I think is very important is that you show that the things that you're doing already on the regional level, that you can expand through the European Digital Innovation Hub network, these activities, and to engage with other EDIs. And making use of what's already available in the European arena of projects, that's great. So last but not least, I would like to introduce Andreas. We know each other already for quite some years also, and you've been working, starting from a European project, as an SME, trying to develop cloud SME. So Andreas, could I give you quickly the floor, and can I ask you to keep it a bit short so we can have a discussion with our audience still?
Okay, this is quite challenging. Thank you for the opportunity to share my my vision on, and would you please share the screen of my presentation? Would be nice. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, just a small introduction. Cloud SME is, as Moritz stated, is a startup out of a former FP7 project. And currently we are active in the Cloud Factoring project and in the Digit Brain project. And let's say my statement is business collaboration is built on trust. And there is a need for trust convey and lower barriers. Next slide, please. Okay, from the point of view of an SME, I would state that the major challenges for an SME to take up European collaborations are the language barriers. This seems to be quite simple and an easy thing, but when I remember into the past, as I started 2013 with European collaboration, it was my personal most challenging point, let's say. Then the SMEs. So they have doubts and lack of understanding about the European funding processes, about the processes at all, and even about the national funding they are not really aware of. And they learned a lot of frustration in the past of taking part, and they do not know, am I right here, am I not right here? So there's a pretty much lack of knowledge there, let's say. So this means lack of knowledge about chances and opportunities. Next slide, please. So some ways for addressing those problems is, yes, we need intermediaries to bridge different cultures and the language. And we also need a balance of digital and physical and digital environment. And we need contact points. So those contact points, they will create trust. And also we need something like the platform economy, a platform economy with the marketplaces we are also working on, would be additional tools to bridge the gap between the cultures. So, but I also want to put some emphasis on embracing the footprint of success stories, for example. So what is communicated out of the projects? And I think it's also time to have a look on how to manage the confidence of an SME in the project, because they have been asked, they are asked about sustainables, about their sustainability of their participation and all such things. But how they are confident in the outcome and in the procedures in a project, this is quite, I think, quite different. Next slide, please. So I think we can skip this slide. Next slide, please. So the main conclusions from my side. So SMEs and startups are typically pragmatic, fast, agile, and near to their markets. So they are quite fast and ready to take up business advantages quite quickly. In opposite, the European funding processes, for sure, they are very valuable, but slow, time-consuming, academic, and bureaucratic. And this is something which SMEs are fearing of, let's say, or fear, and they have worries about this. So the main conclusion would be increase the use of cooperation platforms, for example, as marketplaces. Then also, please expand to the digital infrastructures. And what we also need is innovation and cooperation-friendly framework conditions. And my conclusion here at this point is, it's time to end the pigeonhole thinking between companies, science, and economic policy. And with this, I would like to say thank you for stating this, and would like to give back to Moritz. Thank you.
Thank you, Andreas. I think this is great. It's a perspective of an SME to be quick, to be efficient, to be effective, and to take away, the EDIs need to take away some of the barriers that those SMEs feel in order to work together on a pan-European level, an interregional level. So it's a very important thing to create trust, to make it very efficient, and that's, I think, a very important message from you to the EDIs in order to make sure that they have added value to create those European corridors. So I would like to, because we've got very little time left, so I would like to give the floor to Jérôme and to asking if there are important questions that we can ask the panelists.
Yes, good morning, Moritz. Good morning, everybody. First, allow me to say that my communication teams told me that there is 1,420 people watching this session at the moment, so special hi to everybody. Then I'm pleased to see that in the chat, everybody is presenting themselves. The EDIH are presenting, introducing themselves and start networking, so it's also very interesting to see. And I'd like to make a special hi to Yanis Dimakopoulos, who has probably have the most extensive presentation of his EDIH EDIH in the chat. Regarding the Q&A, I'd like to say that the question that has received the more vote, Moritz, is a question about EEN. So allow me to say it directly. EEN Networks is offering service to SMEs. How, in your opinions, this strengthens the link between EDIH and EEN? I would like also to mention to Jean-Jacques Bernardini, who is our geographical neighbor in France, that there will be a special session about EEN this afternoon. Moritz, back to you.
Yeah, so the EEN is, of course, an important mechanism to further enhance the collaboration between EDIs. But I think, Pierre-Damien, you've been involved in EEN activities also. So perhaps from the EDI perspective, you could share with us your thoughts about how the EDI strategy for European collaboration can be aligned with the activities that the EEN already does.
Yes, indeed. We do have a partner in our partnership, which is the Agence of the region, which is a kind of association, organization who makes the link with the companies based in our Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes region, and they belong to the EEN network. And we trust them to make the link. There's going to be a new call this spring, so we will align, I would say, the strategy of the Agence Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes and of the strategy of the EDIH to set the best request to the EEN to make the objective, I would say, feasible and ambitious also.
Thank you, Pierre-Damien. Perhaps I can share with you also a few thoughts, because I've been discussing this also in other sessions. What I see is that the EEN is offering facilities to make the context. But to make the context is not, in my view, not enough to create those structural collaborations. That needs more. And I think the forging of those corridors, sure, the EEN will be a very important channel to link one region to another region. But to really make it happen is much more than linking it through an email or a telephone or sometimes a little bit more context. You need to establish those corridors more structurally. And that's what the EDI collaborations and the forging is about. But perhaps someone else can just give a very important short answer also addressing this. Maite, perhaps?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Because I think I was out for a while, sorry. So on the EEN role here, I think is really relevant. I think we should leverage on the structures that are already there. And the outreach capacity and the connection with the SMEs at local level of the EEN at this moment is something we cannot miss. So it's always the same about establishing the right connection and finding a win-win model, right? So that the other partner in our EEN local connection will also win with our collaboration. This will help on making this a success.
Thank you, Maite. Yeah, perhaps closing up or another question still?
Yes. We have many questions going on the chat. I would like to say that there are many questions related to the DTA or related to the info sessions, like how this will be addressed inside the proposal for the EDIH. I would not. Those questions will be addressed in different sessions, but there is one which has drawn attentions of quite some people, which is about the brain drain that such a cooperation would create. And I would appreciate if maybe the panel could answer this. How will ensure equal development of the EDIH network nodes in order to avoid brain drain from poorer regions of Europe to the most developed? Would you like the panel to address that?
Yes, I think it's a very interesting discussion, and I think, Giovanna, because PwC has a broad collaboration in all different kinds of regions, so perhaps you can address this.
Well, what I think probably here also this is a challenge. I think this is a challenge that the Commission needs also to to address, to have a well balanced network. I think here the role of the EN could also be important, because you said that yes, it's establishing the contact. The contact is not enough, but probably as we cannot really. From my point of view, the engines, the regions engines of Europe are already more or less already working together. So it will be easier for them also starting working in relation to European Digital Innovation Hub. But probably while the EN network is now more spread around the regions, I think it's important that at least they could help. I think in at least making the first contact. Another aspect is also that it's true that there are less developed regions in Europe, but they also own still good amount of funding that could be used also to be allocated to this European Digital Innovation Hub network. So I would also stress this part. And of course, I think the peer learning opportunities that needs to be strengthened. But of course, the Digital Europe program will have its impact not only if we will have the most strong European digital innovation hubs in the network, or the engine of Europe regions. We need to be to have all Europe coverage.
Thank you, Giovanna. Yes, I would like to finish the session. I think what we try to do is to inspire you all to think about structural collaborations with other EDIs in the network. And we did that by showing you that the regions get a very important place there to be actively engaged with you to establish those corridors, but also that the European network is there. And there are already European networks. And think about business models. Think about not only creating the value, but how you're getting paid for that. I think Pierre Damien gave some nice examples how you can make that operational in your EDIs. So please think about that. And Andreas, last, I would say, but not least, it is, of course, about creating the European collaborations because you want to help the industry. And they need quick, efficient ways, and try to help them to engage with other regions with as little effort as possible. So create that trust and use your connections in order to address the cultural and language barriers. So with this, I would like to give the floor back to David.
Thank you very much, Moritz. A very insightful discussion once again. I know it's very difficult speaking to yourself when you're looking against the camera. There's no one in the room. It's very impersonal, but you had a most excellent panel there. So actually, you did help me with something. I've always thought that EDIH, or European Digital Innovation Hub, was a bit of a mouthful, and I didn't realize that it was an EDI, and that's really going to change my life, calling something an EDI rather than a European Digital Innovation Hub. What we're going to do now is, again, a little bit of a Blair Witch moment, if you'll bear with me. We like doing this. It seems that our friends on, let's switch over to the smartphone. It seems that our, oops. There we go. It seems that the people watching us are quite exciting about these little walks we go on. Oh, while I'm there, Maite, thank you very much. I lost a bet because of what you said twice, actually. Can you hear me? Come on, we don't say that anymore. Who have I got here? Géraud was just in the last panel meeting there asking the questions. Géraud has headed up the team here in Lux Innovation to actually organize this event. This has been like over a year. Give us 2 words, like really 2 words.
Well, what I can say, it was really a teamwork, because it was not just Lux Innovation, but it was also the European Commission services, Anne-Marie Sassen's teams, and also DNet teams that has been actively working this. So it's really a team effort that we succeed to have today. And we hope that the people that are listening will learn anything about the EDIH, and that also will appreciate what has been done here.
Perfect, thank you, Giraud. And it really is an excellent team. Look, we've got them here. It's like social media frenzy. While we're talking about excellent team, and can you hear me, which is actually, it's quite a great cut over. This in here is our production team, our friends from Freelance, who set all of this up and are making this all possible. Jan, can you tell us a little bit, what's happening in here? What's going on? What's the challenge of making this go on?
Yeah, well, the main, hi everyone already, and well, the main challenge is to make this event happen in the COVID time, moving from a real event with everyone in an event location to this 100% digital event. So we are in the Régie, where you have more than we are connecting to all of this. Remote guest. We have dozens of people connected to do this different speakers and presentations. So it's a real challenge to get connecting to all these speakers all over Europe. And we are very proud to be part of this event with Lux Innovation. And it was a teamwork, and it was a challenge to build this and to move from physical to digital. So thank you everyone, also the freelance team here, all the technicians who work very hard for the last days to prepare everything to make it happen technically. Thank you everyone.
Good job to everybody, well done. I would say thankfully nothing's gone wrong yet, but I'm going to touch wood and take that back. Okay, so once we go back into this studio, Moritz is still here. Hi Moritz, how are you doing over there?
I'm good.
Everything's good? Okay. Just one last little thing I want to say. Let me just switch this back over to there. Hang on. It is very Blair Witch, isn't it? There we go. Hi. One last thing I want to say is all of these programs that we're seeing today, they're all going to be on replay. So probably tomorrow sometime you'll be able to see the replay of all of those. Right now we're going to take like a really short break, because the next session is at 12:15, where Anne-Marie Sassen will join us once again, and we'll be talking a call in the Digital European program. So let's meet back here at 12:15, and we'll see what that's all about. So thank you very much.